Hear me? Hola. Oh, it's early in Melbourne. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Yay. Welcome. Just Andy. Oh. Welcome, Amanda. So happy you're here. I have this little crackle in my microphone. I hope that it calms down. Sorry, one sec. Oh, it's so good to see all of you. Thank you so much for being here. This is one of my favorite programs to offer. I'm sure some of you have come to my Equinox and Solstice programs before. And I just really love to take this time to connect to the rhythms of the earth and the seasons and just remember that we're a part of the natural world together. I think it's a really beautiful practice. So if you don't have any water, it would be great if you could get a glass of water, and don't drink it now, but you can just put it to the side. Just have it with you. Anytime in the next half an hour or so would be great. Okay, so before I start talking, I'm going to just sing my invocation. If any of you are new, I think Amanda, I think I saw you, that you said you were new. Sawadi. I am a devotional singer, and I love music, and I love to sing and chant mantras and different types of songs and chants, and I like to weave that together with meditation and sharing of the teachings that have really inspired me. So I always begin my programs with an invocation, which is a way of just acknowledging that we're here, we have this time together, and we're kind of entering a little space. We're like in between these sacred parentheses, all of us who are choosing to gather for this time. So I think it's really special. You know, all of us who are here are making the choice to be here. And so our hearts are all connected for this time. So I'm just going to sing my invocation, and all you need to do is just simply arrive here, really let yourself be present, and take this time to bring your mind and body together in the same place. Usually our mind and body are not at all in the same place, and our mind is flying all around different solar systems, and our body is here feeling slightly abandoned or very abandoned by our mind. So let's bring our mind back to care for this body and have them be here together, and just connect to whatever it is that may have brought you here today, whether you have an intention or you're just curious about it, or you're in the northern hemisphere where we're moving into spring, or whether you're in the southern hemisphere and moving into your autumn and your fall. What is arising for you at this time? You know, we are all so connected to nature, and so we feel the rhythms of the seasons in our being, whether we're paying attention to it or not. And I think it's really wonderful to pay attention to it and to remember. So I'm going to sing now, just call on the blessings for our time together, and just ask that in my heart that every one of us who comes to this program today may receive whatever you need, whatever we all need, for our highest good for this time. Haven't really sung yet today. That sounds good, Delilah. I like that one. So if you want to chant Om with me, we'll chant Om 3 times. And as we chant the sound, please forgive the reverb. Just imagine that you're gathering your mind together. Om. Vatsayamatavarshinim sumatoram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim madasita sute Amritanandatmikam Ishvare Om Amriteshwari Namah Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Ananta Sansar Samudratara Nakaitavyam Guru Bhakti Davyam Vairagya Samahanja Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukapyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukapyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukapyam Namo 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 Thank you. I feel so much these days. Oh, gosh. There's just so much going on in the world. And yeah, I feel very sensitive to it, as I'm sure many of us do. And so I just feel really grateful to have this time for us to all be together, to just come back to our heart and our body and experience community in these really, really just very difficult times. Our world is just hurting so much, and we are connected to the world. So we also feel that and are hurting too. So the equinox today is actually the equinox. It's the first day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere, and in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the first day of the fall. You're welcome, Patrice. It wasn't until, I guess, maybe 10 or 15 years ago that I actually started paying attention to these rhythmic cycles of nature. In fact, I don't even think, maybe it was 15 years ago, I didn't even know really what the equinox or the solstice, I didn't know what they were. Because nobody ever really taught me, and I knew that it was the first day of spring or first day of summer, but I didn't really understand what was happening in nature. And so essentially, just a little reminder, the equinox is the time of balance when the sun is right over the equator. So there's equal darkness and light throughout the world. And the summer solstice is when the sun is closest to the Northern Hemisphere, and winter solstice is the opposite. So Northern and Southern Hemispheres, we're going on these journeys, opposite journeys, mirror reflections of one another. And the equinox is, as well as the solstice, are these really beautiful, powerful portals in nature, when you could almost think of it almost like a liminal space. And for thousands of years, all around the world, different cultures have honored and acknowledged these portals, these times when the light was a certain way. So on the equinox, the sun is directly over the equator. Today, it was at 11:33 a.m. Eastern time was the actual moment of the eclipse. And I've talked about this before, and I just find it completely fascinating that there are so many sacred structures built around the world in acknowledgement of these times, of these specific times, solstice and equinox. And in some of these structures, it's incredible how they were created so that the light would shine like just so on that day. You know, there are like temples, for example, the Manadra temple on the island of Malta, where the light literally shines inside the inner sanctum of this temple only on the equinox. Only the light only comes through a shaft of light exactly then. And somehow these ancient people were able to create structures in some magical, mysterious way that were in alignment with the cosmos. And of course, they lived much more in alignment with the cosmos than we do. And I think, you know, a huge part of the problem that we're facing today with climate change and everything that's going on with the earth is the fact that we have really lost our sense of connection to the earth. We've lost a sense of reverence and sacredness for the planet, as well as for ourselves. You know, we are the earth as well. And so we've lost that in so many ways. And so without a sense of reverence or sense of deep respect, we're not going to feel naturally inclined to care for it. You know, we're not going to see the earth as like a living being, because if you see something as a living being, something that's alive, you might think twice before you started exploiting it and just taking from it. You know, the way we treat the earth is horrifying, and we're doing it to ourselves, you know, and we don't really pay attention to that. I think I mentioned in my circle once that it feels like with all of these natural disasters and everything happening, we keep getting these wake up calls, but it's like we're all on our phones. We're too busy to pay attention, or you might read an article in your news feed about it, but then it's like partly just completely overwhelming. You can't even process the information. I saw a really funny cartoon in the New Yorker. I think it was like a year ago, 2 years ago. And it was this guy, he was standing in his apartment. I think he just like had his underwear on or something. He had his phone plugged into the wall, and there was a fire, and there were all these flames coming in the windows, and there was a fireman at the door with an axe trying to save him. And the guy was just saying, "Can I just charge it for 10 more minutes?" And that was such a perfect metaphor. It's like fire everywhere. The fireman is there, and he's just like, all he wants to do is just charge his phone. But that is so classic, because that is so many of us. It's like, I mean, I had to laugh because I could I could see myself in that in some ways. I don't think if there was a fire, I would be on the phone, but just the idea that we're just completely engulfed in this little tiny world of a screen. So much of the time we have no concept of what's going on outside. We're not really paying attention. Our vision has become so small, and we are like addicted to these gadgets. You know, we're completely in our little sort of self-centered, I don't know, technological little world that we've created for ourselves. And obviously nothing is all bad or all good. Of course, there's great things about technology, really good things, but I think on some level we have used it to kind of bury our head and not have to look at what is happening around us. So these moments, I feel personally, of the solstice or the equinox, is a time to remember, yeah, we live on this earth, which is our mother, and she gives us everything, absolutely everything. And we need to remember that she exists in us, in our being, and we exist in her, and that she is alive. And so I think having a conversation about it and doing a practice like we're going to do today, where we actually see and experience like the sentience of water, of an element. If you don't have your water, just a little reminder to get your water. But you know, to connect to something that we just sort of take for granted and recognize that it actually has consciousness, is an amazing thing. And the more that we do it, hopefully the more that we can bring that and carry that forward into our life more and more, and take care, of the world, of the water in our own bodies. I think pollution starts within. Pollution, we're always polluting the rivers of our body and mind, with negative thoughts, with negative, with self-hatred, with resentments, with negative emotions, with all of that stuff that we allow to kind of fester there. It's like we're just kind of polluting, and we forget sometimes that I talked about this in my workshop of the subtle body. We're not just like a little box that's like separate from the rest of the universe. Everything is interconnected. So this being that looks so solid is actually not solid. This being is like a part of the environment and the atmosphere. So whatever is going on in here is going to have an effect on the outside. Everything is coexisting together. And that is mystical wisdom as well as, basic quantum science, that everything is woven together in an interconnected web. And it's a whole. It's not a bunch of fractured parts, although it may appear that way. So I think recognizing, sorry, my congested. I think recognizing, this truth, that pollution is happening within us. And it's not only something that goes on outside, can help us to take more responsibility, for doing our part, and never through shame and blame. I personally don't think that really helps us to change. I don't think if we shame one another or ourselves that we really expand and grow very easily. Shame is like a contractive energy. But through love and understanding, compassion, deep looking, deep listening, we can begin to see where we are actually suffering because we've separated ourselves from Mother Earth. We're hurting for that. We really, really are. And I've been so fortunate to be able to study with different shamans and First Nations people who've really taught me so much about the harmony and that exists in creation, and the spiritual essence that is within and underneath and inside everything. Some of you have probably heard me talk a lot about the Mamos or the Teyuna shamans from the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta in Colombia. I've learned so much from them. They are always in a conversation with nature. They're communicating with her constantly. And everything is alive to them, whether it's a rock, a tree, a stream. It has consciousness. It has a story to tell. It's an archive. It holds a lot of wisdom. And so they're in that conversation. And, they essentially have said that, they call the people, they are considered like the older brothers. And we over here in our little world of consumerism and materialism and greed they consider the younger brothers, so to speak, because we have kind of not woken up to the reality of our connection to the earth. But they, really are saying, what I have learned from them is just that we need to listen to Mother Nature. We need to open up that conversation and be receptive to hearing what she has to say. I wanted to read you this little quote that I found from Thomas Berry, which I just thought is so appropriate to this. He said, "We are talking to ourselves. We are not talking to the river. We are not listening to the wind and the stars. We have broken the great conversation. By breaking the conversation, we have shattered the universe." That is just so profound. I love that. And that really feels so true. We have broken this great conversation with our mother, with our source. And we can't pretend that we're not affected by that anymore. The idea that by breaking the conversation we have shattered the universe, that's a really powerful meditation, contemplation. So I think we have so much to learn from ancient people and cultures and mystical traditions and scientists, and everything all needs to work together. The ecologists and environmentalists also need to work with the indigenous leaders. They need to understand indigenous wisdom that we have disrespected. I mean, it's a huge conversation, but the amount of horror and that has gone on with indigenous people throughout the world, who are the keepers of the sacred knowledge. it's an atrocity beyond comprehension. And we really need to listen to those elders and those wise ones who understand how to live on this earth and how to take care of this earth and be stewards of this earth. And so I feel like I'm a constant student of just wanting to learn and listen and hear the stories and understand another way of being, because I know that the way that I am used to being is not always serving me. You know, the feeling of being disconnected, like the umbilical cord is cut, it does hurt. So there are so many different ways to reconnect and to remember and to become grounded and to, feel that union with the earth, and then to recognize that that is my own body. And I think a beautiful thing is that as we care for the earth, we also care for ourselves. And as we care for this body, for this self, we care for the earth. It's a mutual thing. And I think one of the things that has been so inspiring to me that I've picked up along the way, or that I've felt is a thread running through so many different teachers who I've studied with and learned from, is just the idea that, reverence is really it's to honor something so deeply. And in some ways, it's really to fall in love with that. And I think it's true that what is needed is not some cerebral understanding. Of course, we need to know what's going on. We need to know there's severe deforestation. Our oceans are so polluted. The coral reefs, I mean, we know maybe intellectually, but it can't just stay in our intellect. All of this needs to somehow find a place in our heart. It needs to find its way to our heart where we feel it. And that will help us realize that something needs to be done. And not because we should, or because this is the right thing to do, or it's the moral thing. It's because we're in love with the earth. We have to fall in love with her. Love is the most amazing motivator. Love helps us to be of service. Love gives us this certain strength and courage that nothing else does. And so whatever we need to do to fall in love with this earth of ours, and to fall in love with this being that we are, which is a part of the earth, I think is such important medicine for our times. And of course, there are millions of different ways to go about that. It's going to look different for everybody. But for me personally, I think the core of it is just that the way to heal what has been broken is to remember love, and to remember what's underneath the feeling of separation, that there is a unity there. We've just turned away from it. And we need to remember, and we need to feel in our heart, I think, feeling of remorse. Again, not in a shaming way, but just what have we done to this planet? What have we done? All we do is take. We simply take, and we don't give anything back. That doesn't work in any relationship. Most relationships aren't going to last that long, or they're not going to be fulfilling if they're just a one-way street. I'm sure some of you have had the experience of being in a non-reciprocal relationship. I have. And that is a really unpleasant thing. If one person is just giving and giving, and the other person is just taking and taking and never giving anything back, that is just completely unsatisfying, and also just feels terrible on every level. But think about that in terms of our relationship with the earth. She gives us everything. And we have no problem just continuing to take and take and take. And what do we give back? And so the Mamos, again, as an example, their lives are devoted to giving back to Mother Nature, to paying the debt, so to speak, that is owed, to her for everything that she gives us, that acknowledgement. And they are constantly doing rituals that they refer to as pagamento, means payment, to offer and give back to Mother Nature in specific places around the world, on the earth. It's really, really beautiful. I could go into so much about that, but I don't want to get too diverted. But I think that there have been so many ancient prophecies that we've all heard, about these times, sort of cataclysmic, that, there'll be droughts and floods and all these different things. And we see it happening. It's not that we need to even consult those ancient prophecies, because it's right in front of our eyes. We see it happening. So we have to pay attention. And I think that's part of what love is. Love is paying attention. It's being present with another. It's looking and respecting and being there. having a desire to know, to understand, to see another person or the planet. And so I think paying attention is a really, really important thing, because nature and Mother Nature in general is not a commodity. it's She's our mother. That's why she's called Mother Nature or Mother Earth. She's not a vending machine that we can just go anytime and not even put a quarter in and just, keep getting whatever we want. So I think having that reminder that this earth really gives us so much all the time, and that we can actually change our relationship to her in small ways by becoming more aware, and becoming more aware of ourselves, and trying to be more present in our lives, so that when the fire comes, we're not just on our phone, like trying to charge it for a few more minutes. So to me, a moment like the equinox is a time, and of course it should never just be for this one day or for 3 or 4 days out of the year. This should be like a thread running through our lives. But this is an opportunity to begin again, to say, okay, I've forgotten my relationship with nature. I've fallen away. I've run away from that. I'm going to turn back. I'm going to come back. And everything is a practice, and we just keep coming back. We keep coming back, whatever it may be, just like in meditation, the thoughts take us away and we just come back, and go away and we come back, and we just keep coming back. And over time, we stay a little longer. We don't wander as quickly. Our wandering has more space in it. So I think it's the same in regards to this subject, of when we wander away from caring for this planet and from recognizing the blessing of being on this earth and all that she gives to us, we can come back to that remembrance. Just keep returning. In some ways, I think that is really the essence of the spiritual journey. It's remembrance, it's return. We're not getting something we don't already have. We're remembering what's already there that we've forgotten. And that wisdom, that knowing is like woven into the fabric of our being. It's just a part of us. So we may have forgotten, but we haven't lost anything. How can we lose who we are? How can we lose what we are? All we need is to shift our perception and our sense of so-called reality, because many of us are not really seeing things in a way that is helpful. I'm not. And I have to constantly remind myself, it's not just about, of course, it's important to do all of the things that we can do, recycling and watching our carbon footprint and on all the things that we can practically do to help. But on another level, I think we really need to transform our state of consciousness and begin to see and perceive things in a different way. And I think it comes back to that feeling or that idea of being in love with the earth, to feeling that love, because love is what we want. You want to protect something that you love. You want to hold it in your heart. You want to care for it. You have reverence for it. That's just such a natural reaction. So I think that these moments are so powerful because they are these opportunities to remember our connection to something greater, to this fabric of nature, this fabric of life, to really remember that. And also to connect ourselves with this lineage of people from all over the world who have honored these times and these days for millennia. It's an incredible thing. If to just even acknowledge it today, to have a conversation about it, to recognize it, is actually connecting us to the stream of beings, through time, who have honored this day, who have seen this day as a really special moment, that has a particular energy to it. It does. There are certain energies, in this time. I mean, what's interesting is that we really are, of course, we're beings of the earth, but we're more than that. We're actually like these galactic beings. We're connected to the greater solar system. We're affected by the planets. We're affected by the sun. When there's solar flares, we do get affected by it. So we're part of this much vaster universe. And ancient people understood that. And there are still many people on the earth who understand that. And then there are many of us who have forgotten. So let's remember. And I think spring, and I'm using the metaphor of spring just because I'm in the northern hemisphere, and I know that any of you in the southern hemisphere are turning in the opposite direction. But I just want to say that it's sort of an interesting thing to feel spring is a time of rebirth. There's so many spiritual celebrations that happen around this time, whether it be Easter or Passover or Ostara. We could list so many different times that happen around now that are moments of celebrating rebirth and redemption. But at the same time, there's a lot of really difficult things happening in the world. So it's a little hard to sort of celebrate the return of the light when we look at the news and we see what's going on. And it doesn't really look like a lot of light is going on, in the external world. And I think for me, I've just been sitting with that, just feeling like, wow, this is interesting because it's spring and it's beautiful and the flowers are going to start to come out and the trees are going to bloom and the days are getting a little warmer and lighter. And yet there's also an awareness that there's a lot of darkness, a lot of pain happening in different parts of the world, not just in Ukraine, of course there, but also in so many parts of the world. So as I've been sitting with it, I was feeling that I need to be responsible for my own spring, that I need to allow the light to return to me so that that light can go beyond me, so that I have that light to offer into the world, if that makes sense. Spring in a way feels like a metaphor for an opportunity to begin again, to start over. So many times on the journey, so many times it can feel like I'm making progress and then something happens and we feel like, oh God, I'm back where I started before. I lost it all. That feeling, I'm sure. And it can be so disheartening, but it's also not true. Our mind may perceive it that way, but it's really not true. And so I think any moment that we can begin again is an opportunity to just take everything that happened and just let it go, just kind of drop it, and start over and just push reset. And today we begin again. Today is a new opportunity. It's a new chapter to allow spring to arise within me, to allow that spring happen within my mind, within my heart, that I can be open to the possibility of new thoughts, of cultivating more positive emotions, of having more love for myself and others, more forgiveness. That feels like something that is woven into this time of spring that I can try to embody for myself. Whatever is going on in the world, that spring can take birth within me. I can intend that anyway, every moment, even if I feel like I lose it the next minute, I can begin again. Every moment is that rebirth. And that is really what spring is. I mean, it's an incredible thing to look outside and everything is just, covered with ice and snow and the trees look dead and everything looks like it's just silent. And then all of a sudden, just life just comes out. How does that even happen? It's something we kind of take for granted. It's like, oh, spring is here. This is so great. And the tulips are beautiful and the trees are blossoming. But if you really start to think about it, it's like, oh my God, this is crazy town. Like, how is this happening? How is this actually going on? Like, what is making this happen? How does this happen every year? There's some intelligence. There's some power that is, causing that to happen. And that power also lives within us. It also works within us. That intelligence, it's in everything in creation. So to me, that's part of the falling in love. When you start to reflect on that, right? If you're in love with someone, hopefully they kind of blow your mind all the time. You're like, oh my God, I thought I knew you, but I don't know. You're just this amazing mystery and I just want to know you more. We could feel that way about nature, just seeing what's happening to the trees or the flowers. It's like, how is this actually going on? I love you. You're so amazing. I just want to look at you. I just want to look at the trees as the flowers, are coming on the trees and the leaves are blooming. I just want to look at that. I want to look at the birds. I want to look at the stars. I want to listen to the river. I want to feel the rocks, that I'm sitting on, whatever it may be. That is kind of having a love affair, with the earth. And if we have that love affair, we can be guaranteed that we will treat the earth differently. There's just no way we won't. So that is something that I have been just thinking about a lot. And especially, when it comes time for these moments of the equinox and the solstice and stuff, I really use it as an opportunity now to kind of tune into whatever that is. And I'm so grateful because I think it's been about 10 years that I've been leading these solstice and equinox programs, not on Insight Timer. Before the pandemic, I did them live. And then, of course, pandemic. So I've been doing them on Insight Timer, which has been so, so nice. I wasn't sure if it was going to translate, but it feels like it has translated. I've been able to somehow do it online like this, and I'm really grateful for it. But over these last 10 years or so that I've been doing these programs, it really has created a change in me because I've been aware, when the winter solstice happened, I'm like watching the light and I'm noticing and paying attention, like the sun is moving, it's moving closer now with every day. The sun is getting closer and closer, to the equator. And then it'll be closer and closer until the summer solstice when it's just full bloom, full light, and being aware of that, it's mesmerizing. It's an amazing thing to be aware of. It's not like any of these things require like some kind of Pollyanna, like it's not like we have to be precious about it. Like, oh, the equinox. It's just, this is just our life. This is who we are. We're human beings on the earth. This is innate. This is intrinsic to us. It's not, there's nothing new age about it. It's about the oldest age thing there is. We are connected to these cycles. We are connected to the planet. She is our mother and she exists in every part of us. So, I'm sure it must be so amazingly beautiful where you are, Pixie. Anyway, thank you so much for your donations. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I don't pay as much attention to the chat because I know that I'm going to lose my concentration. And then I feel torn because I want to see what you're all saying. And then I feel like, how do I balance it? And I guess I'm not that good with the balance part. But today's the equinox, so it's the day of balance. So I'll try to pay more attention. So we are going to do this ritual today. And that's so sweet. Thank you. And okay, thank you. So today we're going to do this beautiful ritual. And if you don't have water, just get a glass of water before we start and just don't drink it yet. And some people have asked me where I learned this ritual. And this ritual is not anything that I learned specifically from anyone. It's something that I created based on my experience studying with different people and my own. It's just something that I kind of created of my own birth from myself. But of course, the foundation of it is what I've learned from the teachers that I studied with and from the earth itself and from understanding just a tiniest bit about sound, sacred sound, and particularly mantra and how it works from a vibrational perspective. Sound is vibration. We are made of vibrations. Our thoughts are vibrations. Our emotions are vibrations. And, everything has a vibration. So when we use sound, it actually has an effect on many things, including the elements. So, and my love for that, as well as cymatics, which is a really interesting field of study, looking at how sound, basically affects matter. There's all kinds of different studies about it, about the geometric shapes and things that can come when sound is sort of projected in certain places in certain ways. And I'm just so interested in all of that. And so I've learned the Mamos really have said so much about the need to care for water in particular, and that water has memory. And water, like everything, water also has, consciousness. And so to connect with that element of water is a powerful thing, because we are made up of, as we know, 70% or more of water. And water is something that we need to survive. If we don't have water, we really cannot survive. We can survive on water for a long time. But if there's no water, water is like the nectar of life. It's the nectar of everything. And unfortunately, our water is really being terribly destroyed and polluted. World Water Day is on March 22nd, which is coming up in 2 days. And that's a day that should be, again, every day, of just the acknowledgement of how many people do not have clean water. There are millions and millions of people in the world who don't have access to clean water at all. And it's serious. You know, you get a lot of illnesses if you don't have healthy water, or waste water treatment facilities, ways to cleanse water, wastewater, you know, water for gardening, water for drinking, all these things. There are so many people who don't have that. So if we have the opportunity to turn on a tap and actually like get a glass of water, we are so blessed. We are really fortunate. And it's an incredible treasure, you know, that should not be taken for granted. And yet it is. And you know, I do these rituals and I really remember, and I try to connect with the water. And sometimes I have a glass of water by my bed. In the morning, I wake up and I just try to connect with it. And then other times I just completely forget. You know, it's like I just go into that mode like we do. And I'm just totally unaware. And I have to stop myself if I'm like taking a shower or something, be like, water, this is water, you know, feel this water. Be aware this water is offering itself to help you. You know, it's an amazing thing. So little by little, it's like, again, that forgetting and remembering, just coming back again and again to that truth. So this ritual is homage and offered with so much gratitude to the mamos and to the other teachers I've had. Bidu, who was a Shoshone medicine man whom I studied with for a really long time. He passed away a few years ago. And just my love for this earth, you know, and wanting to love myself more, because that is always a struggle. That is always something I'm learning, how to love and care for this being, whatever it is, she is. And that's, I think, connected to loving the earth. Oh, there was a quote from Young Pueblo. I'm sure some of you know him, the great author. He said, "Your self-love is medicine for the earth." That is really awesome. Your self-love is medicine for the earth. I completely agree with that. Loving ourselves is taking care of the earth. The mamos often say that our thoughts and emotions have an effect on the planet. They really do. They have an effect on the atmosphere. And we don't even really think about that. So that's why they're often stressing the importance of cleansing our energy field. That's something that I've learned as well from them, the importance of doing that, because thoughts and emotions, you know, in our field, so to speak, are affecting the greater whole. So let us begin our ritual. I don't want to keep talking too much. So if you have your glass of water, you can just set it aside again and don't drink it. And we're going to begin. I always change it up a little bit, but essentially the ritual has a purification section in the beginning where we're just going to kind of gather our energy and clear anything that is in the way of having whatever experience we need to have. And then we're going to sing to the water. We're going to sing mantra to the water. A mantra is a sacred sound formula that is very, very pure sound that has been passed down for thousands of years. And it has a divine intelligence within it. And so we sing to this, you know, water has memory. We sing to the molecules, essentially imagining that we're kind of cleansing and purifying this water, so that by the end, we sing Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya is to honor that supreme consciousness, that light that is within us, within everything. We end up really with a glass of consciousness, so to speak. That's how I like to think about it, that it becomes a glass of consciousness, like a piece of white paper or like a screen that anything can be written upon. And once we have that, then we have the opportunity to write from our heart in this water, whatever it is that we need for ourselves, whatever medicine we need to imbibe at this time. We can fill this with that and then give that to ourselves. It's a really, really beautiful process. I think for me it is, and I hope for you too. So, all right, we're going to start. Now, often use this music that I really, really love, Return to Source. And if you're not using headphones, which I'm sure most of you aren't, you won't be able to hear the drum, but there's this really beautiful low drum. It doesn't translate on small speakers, but to me, it feels like the heartbeat of the earth. This music is from one tribe. They're in Perth, Australia. They gave me their permission to use it for this. Okay. So just take a moment to let everything I said just go. You can just set that all down, release that into the earth. No need to carry it, think about it, process it. Whatever is needed will be there on the other side. And I will also share, as I always do, some notes and things from the session in my circle afterwards, so you can get that information there. So let us all become present right here and right now. And make a decision that we're going to be present for this time. And feel the power of choosing to be in the present moment with all of the people who are here from all over the world. We are all choosing to be present in this moment, to take this journey, to honor ourselves and to honor the earth and the water. So let's begin by connecting with our physical body, because so often we forget that we have a body and we need to remember. So let's begin by just finding a place on your body that wants to be massaged, or if you just want to squeeze your shoulders or sweep down your arms, it doesn't really matter. The point is to just recognize this earth body. This mysterious being that you are is currently inhabiting this physical body. And it's an amazing thing. How often we forget that we have a body. So just massage your own body, or connect to your own body in a way that is really loving and kind. Sometimes when we connect to our body, we feel some things that maybe feel like they're a little off because our attention has turned from it. We've wandered from it. So we need to just create space for those areas of tightness and discomfort, because those areas are just wanting our attention anyway. Now we're going to rub our hands together, generating energy, chi or prana, between our hands. And as you do every step of this ritual, see if you can really pay attention to what you're doing and be mindful. Let your mind be one with what you're doing. And then it becomes something really beautiful and really sacred when we bring our attention to it. Sacredness is just a matter of our own mind paying attention. So generate that heat between your hands. And when you feel complete, you can just pause and just gently pull your hands away from each other and feel between your palms an energy. There are so many names for this energy, this heat. Be aware of this. And now we're going to take this energy in our palms and we're going to just sweep through our body 3 times. Just sweep your body. Imagine that you're sweeping off all of the negative energy, all of the heaviness, whatever may be weighing on you. Just sweep it off through your body. And when you're done, you can shake your hands. And we're gonna rub our palms together one more time. Feel that heat. Really let your mind be focused. And now we're gonna place our palms over our eyes and just rest your eyes in your palms. Just rest your eyes. Nothing to see, nothing to figure out, nothing to know. Just rest. Now you can release your hands and just place them anywhere that feels comfortable for you. And we are just going to take a breath in and hold for a moment. And when you exhale, you're just going to release through your whole body. Just imagine that anything that you don't want to have accompany you into this ritual, that it just is purified and released from every cell. So breathe in, hold, and exhale through your whole body. We'll do it 2 more times. Breathe in, hold, and then visualize releasing through your whole body, every cell. You can release not only your own stuff, but other people's that you may be carrying, those empaths among us, including myself, releasing anything that is not yours. Breathe in last time. Hold. And exhale and release through your whole body. Now, take a moment to tune into your field, your being's field of you, and feel and sense a clarity, peace, and ease, connectedness. Even if it's just in your imagination, everything is born out of our imagination. Every single thing in creation started in our imagination. So feel that you are just with yourself right now, just in your own energy, your own space. And let us just become open. Whatever each one of us needs in this time, may it be given, and may we be receptive. And may our connection to the earth be strengthened and deepened from this practice. And we can imagine now that there is a beautiful root or a cord of some kind going down from your tailbone down into the earth, connecting you to the earth. In whatever way you want to visualize it or sense it. If you're not a visualizer, that is totally fine. Just feel that you are connected to the earth, that you're rooted in the earth, and just feel that connection. You can just feel thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much to Mother Earth for always being there and supporting us. We can always trust and have faith that the Mother will be there, that we can stand and sit and lie on her. So feeling that connection with yourself, that connection to the earth, we're going to move on to the next step of the ritual once the purification is complete. You can choose to hold your water, or you can just have your water near you. And when we sing, I will guide us at a certain point so that you know when to pick up your water, but you can hold it, pick it up whenever you want to. We're going to sing Om Namah Shivaya to honor that pure consciousness within us, within everything. And as we sing to this water, we can imagine that this water is being purified. Any imprints that are in this water right now, we will cleanse them with the sound of the mantra, the pure sound of the mantra, and imagine all of the molecules of the water becoming totally purified and filled with just this pure consciousness. So that by the end of our singing, we are no longer just holding what we may consider to be an ordinary glass of water, whatever that is, because nothing could be farther from the truth. Water is amazing, it is not ordinary. But we will feel that this is something really sacred because we have given it our attention and our love. So Om Namah Shivaya, and sometimes I sing some other mantras with it, and I may sing also Ganga. Ganga is the holy Ganges river. Mother Ganga, she is the pure, amazingly purifying, cleansing river, source of water in India. And we can call on the presence of Ganga to be in our water too. So you can sing along with me, or you can just listen, but try whenever your mind wanders to bring it back to the chant and bring it back to the music because it's a meditation. And just allow your mind to connect to the water, even if you're not holding it, just be aware that we are about to really honor water. All water, not just the water in our glass, the water flowing all through the earth and the water in our own body. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om. Hold your water and just place your mind in the water, your awareness, your consciousness in this glass of water. Where did this water come from? This water came from the clouds, from the earth, this water in your glass has arrived here for you today, only for you, to bless you, to help you, to support you in loving yourself, caring for yourself. So just feel and connect to this water, the miracle of this water. And wherever this water may have traveled to arrive in your glass, we're just going to sing to this water now, and we're going to imagine that all the molecules in the water are being cleansed and purified by Om Namah Shivaya, by the sound of Om. And you can imagine that anything that doesn't belong in that water is being purified until this water becomes pure and crystalline clear. So now we're going to sing Om Namah Shivaya. You really sing it into the glass. Imagine that the mantra is just filling your whole glass. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. So see this light filling this glass of water in your mind. Know that when you visualize something, the visual cortex in your brain, it responds as if it's really happening. So when we visualize this, we experience it as if it is so. So let this glass of light, the water, overflow and merge with all the waters of the earth. And let us visualize in our mind and heart all of the amazing waters on this planet, the oceans and the rivers and the streams and the lakes, the clouds, all the different sources of water. And we will sing to all of these sources of water and imagine that water in all of its forms is receiving our song, being cleansed and purified. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om Namah Shivaya, Hari Om. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. We see beautiful waters throughout our world, coursing through the earth, totally clear, clear and clean, and full of love. And now let us visualize the water in our own body. Our body is so blessed by water. water is what makes us so much what we are. And yet sometimes we pollute the waters of our body with our negative thoughts about ourselves. So we need to care for that. We need to apologize to ourselves, to the waters in our own body, and just feel so sorry. I don't want to pollute the waters in my own body. I want to love the waters of my body. So we're going to visualize now that as we chant the sound of Om, we're going to chant Om 3 times, that this sound of Om is purifying, cleansing, and healing all the waters of our body. So here we go. Feel all the waters of your body cleansed and purified. Feel the water in your glass, cleansed and purified, a glass of light, a glass of pure consciousness. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Ganga, Amrita Ganga. Om Ganga, Amrita Ganga. Om Ganga, Amrita Ganga. Om Ganga, Amrita Ganga. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Breathe in, hold, and then exhale and release down into the earth. Now, I'm going to hold your water if you're not already. Let your consciousness, your mind rest in this water. This water that has been purified through our intention, our collective intention, and the power of mantra. Let us begin by acknowledging this water and all the ways that maybe we have not taken care of this water and any water. Maybe we have used it without awareness and gratitude. We haven't treated it with care. So for that, we just say to the water, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. for all the times that I have not honored you and felt deeply grateful for all that you give me. You give me life. And to the waters of my own body, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for all of the negative thoughts that I have, and I pollute the waters of my own body with those negative thoughts. I'm so sorry. This apology isn't to make us feel bad. It's to help us to become accountable and to recognize where we may have turned away from something that needed our own love, water, and our own being. Now, once we offer that apology from our heart, that acknowledgement, to try to create some kind of reparations with this beautiful element that we're holding in our hands, we just offer our deep, deep gratitude for water. Thank you so much to this incredible source that nourishes me, that hydrates me, that bathes me, that loves me. Thank you. Now just have the sense that this water is, like we said, like a glass of pure consciousness or pure space, like a white screen or a blank piece of paper upon which we can write anything that our heart desires. And as you sit with this water, knowing that it has arrived here for you, just take a moment to go into your own heart. What is happening for you right now in this moment in time in your life on this day? What do you feel that you really need? Maybe you have an image in your mind, maybe a color or a word or a visualization of some kind. Maybe it's just a feeling. But whatever it may be, allow that to rise up in your mind, in your heart. And you can begin to imagine that you're transmitting that into the glass of water, that you're filling this glass with that prayer, with that blessing for yourself, whatever it may be. Imagine that with your mind and your imagination that you're imprinting whatever this is. You may want to say the word over the glass. You may want to speak it. You may want to put your hand over the glass and just imagine that you're filling it with love, just pouring love into this glass of water. What quality, what nourishment do you need right now? And as you fill this glass with whatever it is for you, simultaneously become open and give yourself permission to receive those blessings. Because without our own permission, we can't really take any blessings in. So we need to give ourselves the permission of our own mind, as my teacher Alma always says, to receive. Know we are worthy of whatever it is that we're longing for. And then when your cup is full of whatever it is that you wish to take in at your own pace, when you want, when you're ready, you can begin to ingest this water. This water is no longer simply water. It carries your prayers. It carries the vibration of your highest wishes for yourself or for the world. And drink it really mindfully. Pay attention and let that water become a part of you. Let it fill every cell. Notice how it feels when the water goes down, all the way down your throat, and it becomes a part of you. And this is a perfect example of Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching of interbeing. This water that was once in our glass will now become a part of this being, of this body. And you don't have to finish it all now. You can save some or share it with others. Just treat this water with a lot of reverence, a lot of care. And allow yourself to really become receptive to receive whatever it is that you have imbued this water with. I'm going to read to you, to conclude the ritual, a beautiful letter that Thich Nhat Hanh wrote to Mother Earth. He has a series of letters that he wrote to Mother Earth that are so beautiful. And I love this one. And so I'm going to read this to you. And you can just listen to it as a meditation. Dear Mother Earth, I bow my head before you as I look deeply and recognize that you are present in me and that I'm a part of you. I was born from you, and you are always present, offering me everything I need for my nourishment and growth. My mother, my father, and all my ancestors are also your children. We breathe your fresh air. We drink your clear water. We eat your nourishing food. Your herbs heal us when we're sick. You are the mother of all beings. I call you by the human name Mother, and yet I know your mothering nature is more vast and ancient than humankind. We are just one young species of your many children. All the millions of other species who live or have lived on Earth are also your children. You aren't a person, but I know you are not less than a person either. You are a living, breathing being in the form of a planet. Each species has its own language, yet as our mother, you can understand us all. That is why you can hear me today as I open my heart to you and offer you my prayer. Dear Mother, wherever there is soil, water, rock, or air, you are there, nourishing me and giving me life. You are present in every cell of my body. My physical body is your physical body. And just as the sun and stars are present in you, they are also present in me. You are not outside of me, And I am not outside of you. You are more than just my environment. You are nothing less than myself. I promise to keep the awareness alive that you are always in me and I am always in you. I promise to be aware that your health and well-being is my own health and well-being. I know I need to keep this awareness alive in me for us both to be peaceful, happy, healthy, and strong. Sometimes I forget, lost in the confusions and worries of daily life. I forget that my body is your body. And sometimes I even forget that I have a body at all. Unaware of the presence of my body and the beautiful planet around me and within me, I'm unable to cherish and celebrate the precious gift of life you have given me. Dear Mother, my deep wish is to wake up to the miracle of life. I promise to train myself to be present for myself, my life, and for you in every moment. I know that my true presence is the best gift I can offer to you, the one I love. I know that my true presence is the best gift I can offer to you, the one I love. Let's just sit for a moment and take that in. Thank you. We're going to conclude the ritual by chanting Loka Samasta, Sukhino Bhavantu 9 times. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and happy. We include ourselves in that too. So we'll chant 9 times. And we dedicate the merit of this session, of this time, that may whatever good energy or good vibrations, whatever happened here that was positive, may it extend out through the whole universe and bless all beings, all of nature, everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to the water. Thank you to you. Thank you to the earth. Um, this practice is always a little bit different every time, but I encourage you to, if you enjoy the practice or you find some benefit from it, to weave it into your life in some way. Oops. It doesn't need to be, a whole big thing like we did today. It can just simply be when you have a glass of water, even just try to experience the first sip with mindfulness, just one sip, and then like I sometimes feel like it's not always easy to have a whole mindful meal, especially if you're eating with other people, but you can commit to the first bite. But the first bite, you can just feel like, thank you. I'm aware that I'm eating this food. I'm so grateful for this food. Likewise with water, you can do the same thing. You can have water by your bed or whenever you drink it. Just connect to it for a moment and realize that that water has consciousness. And the way we relate to that water is the way we relate to ourselves. So there's a lot to learn, I think, from this practice, and you can make it your own. So I hope that you received something from this. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for all of your donations. And I invite all of us to be as kind and gentle as possible to ourselves at this time when this world is on fire, so to speak, in so many ways. And let us not turn away from our pain and just get lost in our phone like that cartoon I shared with you at the beginning, but let us take care of our pain and take care of our heart and our emotions so we can do that for one another. That's so, so important. So I really appreciate all of you so much. And thank you for always being here and present at my live sessions, and all that you give to me, all that you bring to my life, all of you in my circle or in the sessions or listening to my recordings on the app. It means the world to me. And this past week or two has been really challenging in my life, just some hard things I've been going through. With my closest friend is nearing the end of her life, and there have just been lots of difficult things going on this week. So I haven't been able to be as present, and I haven't been able to respond to so many of your reviews and your comments on the songs and stuff. But I just want you to know that I've read them, and I'm so grateful for every one of you who listens, who offers your kind words, and it just means so much to me. So please know that. Sometimes in this world, like art and music and things like that can kind of just, they don't have as much value, as they did at another time, perhaps, because there's just so much content in the world and so much. And so anytime somebody listens to a meditation or a song that I have made and they feel connection to it, it means really so much to me. I can't possibly tell you. So I just want you to know that. And I'm really grateful for what I've learned from all of you. Just being here, the fact that you even made the choice to take this journey today. There's a billion things that you and all of us could be doing. The fact that we all chose to be here to have this conversation about the equinox and the earth and to bless our water is, I don't know, it just gives me hope and faith in the world. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cycles of life, just gotta feel it all and let it move through like a rainstorm. So anyway, so much gratitude. Thank you. I have not set up my next live session yet, but I will. If you have any ideas, something you would like me to explore in a live session, you can let me know. I'm always open. Really, I mean, to me, honestly, my favorite part of this whole thing is just all of us being together in a place where we can just be real with one another, have an honest gathering of the heart, sat sang, the gathering of truth. And somehow it seems like there aren't a lot of places where we can really be real with one another. And here there's no need to posture or hold up anything, just be real. That's, to me, that's the nourishment. So anyway, I guess that's about all. I felt like I got